So talk about kind of what has led us to this point in time with our grievance with the Poarch band.
Well, as we speak at this date, we essentially have two things that are a matter of discussion regarding the Poarch that's official. One is the introduction of H.R. 5486 a week ago. And the second is a legal dispute, which is in federal court between the Muscogee Creek Nation and the Poarch Band of Creek Indians.
So talk about what this bill is, what it aims to do, and what our position is on it.
H.R. 5486 was introduced in the House, I believe, on June 17th or 15th, and was introduced by the Congress member who represents the district that the Poarch Band's headquarters is located. So the intent of the legislation is stated very succinctly right in the subject, is the Poarch Band, it's intended to reaffirm the trust status of parcels of land of the Poarch Band Creek Indians. I think is how it's listed. It lists about, I think, several hundred parcels of land. And so we took interest for several reasons. One is that as a nation, Muscogee Creek Nation, along with the Hickory Ground and Miko Thompson, as the Miko of that ground and the leader, we've gone to Congress earlier this year, February 2016, met with members of Congress, met with staff, met with the chairs of the presiding House and Senate committees that would oversee legislation regarding this carcieri fix. And our position was, if this bill is reopened, and I believe there's been several, at least 3 attempts to revise this bill, that if it's introduced again, our position is there needs to be a fix that would incorporate the resolution of issues of all tribes across the nation, across the United States, including Mvskoke Creek Nation. So we've been consistent with that since this year, since I've been in office, and our letter that we mailed off earlier today to Chairman Rob Bishop and others in Congress restates that. So in relationship to the bill 5486, it's a one tribe, one fix solution, disregarding the interests of all of the tribes of the country. And we oppose that.
What is our position and thoughts on the carcieri fix that has been added to the appropriations bill for 2017?
Okay, there's several elements regarding carcieri and our interests as a tribe and the 2017 appropriations bill. First is parcels of the land that's identified in 5486 include the Hickory Ground parcel. So if the carcieri law is going to be reopened through this bill, we want to be at the table because that is our traditional land. It's the traditional land. It's the last capital of Muscogee Creek Nation before we came west. We left that forcibly as the Poarch Creek were recognized. We entrusted them to maintain that for perpetuity. And history shows not only did they not do that, but they destroyed the Hickory Ground, unearthed remains burial objects, and others have shown no remorse, and now want to take it one step further in 5486 and have it forever be entrusted to them without the input of any other tribe across the United States. So where it may be seen as a single fix for one tribe, the ultimate effect is impact upon the Muscogee Creek Nation and others across the United States who are left waiting for some type of resolution for our issues, which our issues are tied to the Poarch ban. With the introduction of 5486 in the House, the ultimate path that they're taking is to have this included either as an amendment or an administrative insert into the 2017 Interior Appropriation Bill, which funds the Bureau of Indian Affairs and other programs, so that as money is appropriated for 2017, this becomes a matter of law, and then it's done.
Do you think by adding this fix to the appropriations bill that it's more likely to be overlooked amongst some of the bigger items that would be in that bill and therefore more likely passed?
I would speculate, this being an election year with lots of bills incomplete at this time, there's a lot of moving parts in Congress. So easily this could be inserted into that mix and be overlooked by tribes across the nation and slip through unnoticed. We hope that doesn't occur. We've now gone on record opposing H.R. 5486 and asking that we be at the table if there's any hearing, so we can have our statements on record with our opinions, our views of this law, so that we can go back to the basic principles that we talked about earlier, that there must be, if carciere is going to be amended, it must be a fix for all the tribes across the country, and that would include us.
What steps are we taking to make sure our voice is heard?
Today, Muscogee Creek Nation, as Principal Chief, and with Miko Thompson, George Thompson, who's the Miko, the Hickory ground, ceremonial ground, we co-signed a letter that went to members of Congress restating our opposition, first of all, our principles regarding carciere and the Poarch ban, and our opposition to H.R. 5486, to show that within our nation, both as a government entity and a ceremonial ground, that we're together in our opposition to this bill. And that's the most direct avenue that we have to approach our elected representatives. Second, we will raise this at the National Congress of American Indians and any other national organization to make sure that they hear and understand our opposition to H.R. 5486. I believe that why Muscogee Creek Nation is so concerned about this law is that the parcels of property are original land occupied by our ancestors. And I believe that beyond a leader of the tribe, we have the absolute responsibility to make sure that's preserved, to make sure that even if possible, that it be returned to us, so that if they can't be stewards of this property, that we uphold our traditional responsibility for thousands of years and keep that land intact and preserve it.
What is our status? What's the status of the lawsuit that we have concerning the Hickory ground issue?
The, as I understand it, the progress of the legal action against Poarch Band is pending in federal court, as it has been, I believe, for several years. We will continue to be active in that case and try our best to push that toward a resolution and hope that it gets resolved soon. So we will continue the approach through the legal system as we will through the legislative process that we've been talking about in the last few minutes. Those are the two strongest ways that we can affect this directly. We will also continue to communicate and provide information to groups of tribes, tribal members, and interested third parties of the Hickory ground to make sure that they voice their opposition to this, because they're very ardent, staunch supporters of Miko Thompson and the Hickory ground people having control over that land again, or making sure that we get answers to the status of their ancestors that we do not have answers to at the present time.
Have we received any type of response regarding our questions on the Hickory ground issue from the Poarch Band?
To my knowledge, which only goes back half a year now, I've not received anything in return to any inquiries that the Muscogee Creek Nation has had from the Poarch Band.
By placing the lawsuit and by not supporting the House resolution, what type of fix would we prefer? Do we want the land to come to us, or do we just want our questions answered?
We are seeking both answers. One, legislatively, we feel that with less than 6 months left in the legislative calendar, and knowing that this is an election year and there are very few legislative days remaining, that there is not time right now to adequately and sufficiently get all the views of the tribes on record to have a successful carcieri fix. So that's one of the reasons for our opposition. And meanwhile, we will continue to pursue our legal remedies for this. Our fear is that should carcieri fix for the Poarch Creek ban become law, it would render our lawsuit moot. And thus, we, again, would be left with no answers, no resolution. And, for a tribe of 82,000 members, that is not acceptable.
Does that open up the possibility for another suit if this passes through Congress?
We would have to address future actions once we see the outcome here in the next few weeks and months. But believe me, we will be very active in the coming months to assure that we're doing everything that we possibly can for our people, the remains of our ancestors, protection of our lands, and the protection of lands of all tribes. Because I'm sitting here today representing Mvskoke Creek Nation, but there's no guarantee that tomorrow same thing could happen for another tribe. We know how painful that is. We do not want any tribe to go through that in the future.
Will this be one of the resolutions proposed at the 5 Civilized Tribes meeting here in July, do you think?
I'm sure the 5 tribes and the Intertribal Council will discuss this matter, take a position on this matter. We're working as we speak to ensure that that's on the agenda for us to discuss.
Is there anything else that you think is important to this story?
We would hope that we'd be sitting here talking about something much different, that had this been a bill that had wider reach and inclusion of other tribes, we'd be sitting here having a different discussion. But it's unfortunate that one group wants to proceed and get their resolution above any other tribe in the United States. So 566 other tribes have no remedy. And I think that's going to be unacceptable for a great majority of the nations across the country.